It's real breakfast hours. Eat breakfast to view up.
Today's breakfast is... I haven't been eating breakfast this week because Mike was gone all week.
Oh my goodness. My breakfast was actually, I was at IHOP with a certified fan. I had myself an omelet with, I don't even remember what was in it. Looks like some peppers, there's some guacamole on the top. Probably some bacon of some sort in there. It was pretty good. This picture looks good. And there's an English muffin with it.
Welcome back.
To real breakfast hours, baby. What number are we on?
28.
Just gonna put that in nice big letters.
Oh, I did not realize
Numbers.
That's how you write your 8s. Ew!
For the
Wait, can you show people how... Oh, why do you start on the bottom one?
Wait. Yeah. Just kind of...
Horrific! I wouldn't... Oh my god! For the people out there, can I show you how I do mine?
Yeah. Here.
I've never seen someone do an 8 like that. Oh my god. Is that it? Ready?
Mine is a lot more
Can they
round
see
than
this?
yours.
I don't know. Well, I'm doing it sideways, but I start like here. And we do boop.
You don't start at the cross section?
No. This is a nice little 8. I don't know. Like.
Why wouldn't you start at the meeting point of the 8?
Well, why are you starting? You start at like the bottom.
No, I start...
Oh, you start like what? Like here, and then you.
Yes.
That's horrific to me.
I start in the center.
Oh my god.
And doing it sideways like that is weird, but...
Well, yes, it is.
But yeah. I draw a circle, and then another circle on top of it.
No.
How would you draw it? Hold on.
How would I draw what?
An infinity.
I can show you how I draw an infinity.
I'm about now. Why do you think I'm making space?
Okay.
So if I was drawing an infinity,
You're about to do
I would
something.
start in the middle.
Oh my god, why do you do that? Oh, wait.
Terrible.
I start like how I start an 8, where I'm like up here, except for I do it. Oh, that was not how I do that. I don't know. It's a little
So
bit.
I draw a circle and then a second circle, and you don't.
Yeah, I do. I do squiggle 1, back to squiggle 2, and you connect it. I don't know.
Well, as you can see, our whiteboard's all packed up now, which is
Full of
fine.
8s and infinities.
Full of 8s and infinities. Oh,
You know what? That's the new
quality.
challenge. If you're in a relationship with someone, ask to see how they draw their 8s.
I'm sure somebody does it in even more heinous way.
Well, this is what I've seen. I've seen people do it my way, maybe, I don't know. But the other way I usually see people is they literally just do 2 circles on top of each other. You're kind of doing that, but you finish it. But they will like pick up their pencil to.
So
do it.
picking up your pencil's wrong.
Yeah.
If you did that for any other letter that isn't like an I, like you have to do it for an I, something like an E, it makes sense, right? But it's continuous.
Wait, what about an E makes sense for that?
Like a capital E?
Oh, capital K. I thought we're talking about lowercase.
No. Like, I get doing it for an E. I get doing it for, an I,
Yeah.
right? But, like, what if somebody did that for an S? Like,
Yeah.
what if they stopped halfway in the S and then drew the second loop? That would be weird.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Anyway, we got some breakfasts.
We do have some breakfast.
So, first, obviously, our own. You were very bad. You did not eat breakfast while I was gone, apparently.
Yeah. Honestly, this is probably the shock of the century, but for someone on a Real Breakfast Hours podcast co-host, I actually am not... Like, I like breakfast, but I just don't really eat breakfast. Until I met him, like, I almost never ate breakfast.
Horrified.
But he's a big breakfast guy,
Certified
so
breakfast fan.
he's gotten me into it more. But then some week, like if you're not here, it's hard. I had a tangerine one day for breakfast,
you know what?
so that's something.
It's something. Let's just get this out of the way now. I was in California this past week. And you know who I saw when I was there?
Who'd you see?
Our longtime friend and supporter, Crollo, or Fabian.
Ooh.
And you know what? We went to IHOP together. to get some real breakfast hours content at like the breakfast mecca, the breakfast motherland, right?
Yeah, true.
IHOP, the international house of real breakfast hours. Oh, with a P at the end.
IHOP sponsorship when?
Send us your merch, your IHOP. Send us your money. You've heard of sending me your breakfast. Now send me your money. But yeah, so Crollo had what is it? It's eggs Benedict,
Yeah.
where it's like an egg and an English muffin or whatever, and some, I believe that's bacon and cheese, and then some hash browns there. So I would say thank you for your submission, Crollo, but I actually took that picture myself,
Ooh.
which is very exciting. And then I know that I have a few more.
I have one from my mom.
Lay it on us while I
yesterday.
search for my other one.
Eggs, toast, bacon, orange juice. Very classic breakfast. Probably one that we've seen from my parents many times, but doesn't get old.
Certified.
Unfortunately, my dad did not send one. He's really slacking there. But
I hate to see it.
yeah, you do hate to see it.
You hate to see that. Oh, whoops.
Oh my goodness.
Homemade sausage and gravy with honey butter biscuits.
All right, now let me see that because I'm a big sausage and gravy enjoyer.
It's like the white gravy.
Yeah. Okay. It's like really white. Like I feel like usually it's a little more gray when my family makes it, but I can't taste it, so I can't judge too much.
Well, thank you guys for your breakfast. We really appreciate it. Everybody else out there, send us your breakfast.
Now I believe you met him for breakfast.
I did.
We got an interview with Real Breakfast Hour's biggest fan.
True. He's Real Breakfast Hour's strongest soldier.
Yeah. So, this could be you guys. Come be on our podcast.
You know what? I did ask him if it was cool if I put the video in there. Maybe we won't put the whole thing, but we'll at least show his responses. We asked him what his favorite breakfast was, and this was his response.
Everything eat breakfast. Probably like, I haven't even submitted this yet, but it's probably like cinnamon toast crunch, and then like on the side I have like a slice of cheesecake.
That's a good answer.
I think it was bold to have like a dessert option as a response, but he's so right. The number of times that I've had like cake or something with breakfast.
Well, my favorite breakfasts are the desserty ones. Like a donut, like it's hard to beat that. Except for like breakfast sandwiches. I think breakfast sandwiches or maybe the sausage and gravy with eggs. But other than that, like pancakes, which to me is kind of desserty, right? Because you're putting maple syrup on it. Donuts.
Very sweet. A lot of breakfasts they're either like high protein, like your eggs and sausage, or they're very sugary, like your pancakes, your cereals.
Yeah.
Which
way, Western
Yeah,
man?
which way, Western man.
What's our next question?
Next question, I asked him what his opinion on pancakes was.
Oh.
Let's see what he's got to say about that. Your opinion on pancakes?
Pancakes they're like an A-tier breakfast. I actually do like them better than waffles. Don't know that many types of pancakes, so I'm not gonna lie.
A-tier breakfast, I fully respect.
Yeah, that's a pretty good tier for it, I would say. Sometimes I even lean towards S tier for pancakes. When you get a good pancake, it's very satisfying. But I'm also the type of person where, I need time between my pancakes because it's such a sweet breakfast, especially when you add like chocolate chips and the syrup. You can really it can be too much, too rich. So I love a good pancake breakfast, but sometimes I don't want all that.
I'm the type of guy that you can just, depending on how you make them, because sometimes your pancakes are like this thick and other times they're like paper thin.
Yeah.
I will fill up on pancakes. I will crush a stack of pancakes. I go to IHOP, I'm like, give me your pancakes. Hand them over.
That's why I'm surprised you didn't get it this time.
Well, it was lunch, okay? It was
okay.
technically lunch that we went there for, and I had waffles for breakfast, so I wasn't really looking for something syrupy for lunch. So I went with the omelet, which is also something I really enjoy. Now, I think Crollo had one other thing to add. Do you have anything to say to our viewers?
Submit your breakfast.
Thank you. You're already here first, folks.
Yeah.
Come on.
You gotta be doing it.
You gotta send your breakfast in. Thank you very much, Crollo, for meeting up with me and for agreeing to let us use your very handsome likeness for our podcast.
Yeah. For any of our friends that watch this, if you ever want to be on an episode of Real Breakfast Hours, we'd love to have you. Maybe do a longer form interview. If you've got anything interesting to tell the people of YouTube, maybe you do something interesting for work.
Especially
maybe you have
if it's breakfast themed.
Well, it doesn't have to be, but that is a plus.
Absolutely.
So there you go. What else do we have? Well, we should probably address that we're in costume.
Yes.
And we must say, we're Barbie and Ken.
Obviously.
Well,
Not
if you
so
haven't
obvious.
seen the movie, it's not so obvious. But we're putting it out there because a few people did not know. One of them being my mom.
Unfortunate. And you know what's even more unfortunate is that the girl who was at the supermarket that saw us dressed like this said that she wouldn't have gotten my costume if I wasn't standing next to Barbie. And you know what? Half the film was about Ken's independence, right? And his ability to be Ken without the context of Barbie. I mean, clearly it wasn't strong enough because I couldn't be Ken without the Barbie context.
Yeah,
and
that
that
is
hurts.
unfortunate.
Really.
She really had no Ken energy.
Hits me, yeah, I was going to say, hits me right in my
She said
energy.
you weren't enough, you know?
Weeping, crying, snot coming out of my nose. It was bad, obviously.
But, you know, we missed Halloween a little bit. Last weekend we weren't able to dress up, primarily because our costumes were not in yet fully. And now, here we are.
We're so back.
And our party was Friday, so we weren't totally in the Halloween mood until this weekend.
We had a very good time. Saw some of your friends from school.
Yep.
Had a few drinks. Came back home.
Had more drinks.
Woke up late the next day.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good time. What did we do today?
Today, well, you know, I had your groceries.
Very important.
Watched the Germany football game.
Which I thought for a second there. Sports section. Sports. Football. I thought for a moment there that in the first half, Chiefs are up 21-0. I thought it was over for the Dolphins. I was like typing LOL Dolphins in my group chat with my friends. Like, you know, L's of both flavors coming out for the Dolphins. And then in the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, suddenly it's 14-21, and they're in striking distance of tying the game, potentially even winning. 1 minute left, approaching the end zone. There's not going to be enough time for the Chiefs to retaliate if you get a touchdown here, and then, you know, you could get the touchdown, kick the field goal, tie it up, go to overtime. Or if you're ambitious, you could get the touchdown and then go for 2, win by 1 point, 22-21. But you know what you shouldn't do? Which maybe they were confused because maybe they hear shouldn't and thought should. They line up, 4th down. This is your last shot. They muff the snap and it just shoots right past Tua Tagovailoa. He's a Hawaiian. Nice guy, it seems, but apparently struggling to catch the snap. Blew right past him, fumbled him 4th down, game's over. So as anticlimactic as they come.
Yes,
Very
but
unfortunate.
good for the Chiefs.
Good for the Chiefs and all you accursed Swifties.
And then, so we went to go see a production of Legally Blonde the musical that was put on by my high school.
We certainly did.
And came across the realization that it has been 6 years since I graduated high school and felt very old.
She was aging in front of my eyes when
I
she
really
was making that
was.
realization.
I was like, it was really a moment for me. And also just feeling, like I was like, oh, I wanted to show him my high school. And of course it still looks the same, but also it looks very different in some ways. Like there's TVs everywhere now. I was like, we never had TVs on these walls before. I was like, yo. I mean, pretty cool, but like, whoa. And my name is on some like trophy things we have a case, and I went to go show him, and of course, I think the ones that have my name on them were covered. There was like 2 or 3 like printers.
Very large printers.
Large ones sitting in front of the case, and I think where my name probably was right behind them, so you couldn't see them. So I promise I wasn't lying about that.
I fully believe you. I know you're not a liar, and I know you took your theater days extremely seriously.
I did.
So
And I gotta say, you know, I am very jealous. I always wanted to do Legally Blonde the musical when we were there. I think I would have killed it. I would kill it now. Like, you know, any local theater groups that are considering Legally Blonde the musical.
in
like,
the southern Maine area.
in southern Maine, like, come contact me. Real Breakfast Hours. We'll put it on the podcast.
Real Breakfast Hours 30 is just an entire production of like Hamlet with featuring you.
Yeah, well, I'm good at what I do. So I was good to see them do it, but there's always a pang of jealousy 'cause that could have been me.
So
I was
true.
6 years later. But then we wouldn't be here.
I'm so glad it's not you.
Yeah, no. That's
Because the people on the stage, the children, literally children, they're high schoolers, they're under 18, probably 95% of them. I'm sure one of them is probably 18 by now, but not most of them, definitely not. And it was weird to look at them and be like, oh, they're so young. Like it felt, I'm 25, so I'm not like an old man or anything like that, but I'm definitely an adult. And it feels odd to look at them and be like, they seem so young.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I don't know. Like, I feel like some of them, I'm like, yeah, you just look like a person. And then some of them do look really young, and you're like, strange. Because I feel like this really did age me in more ways than one. Because, like, just realizing how far out from high school I am. Because, I don't know, some parts of my brain, like, I don't feel like an adult a lot of the time. You know what I mean? So, but now I'm like, oh, God, I definitely am an adult compared to these people. Like, they're literally under 18, like... Well, but, like, if you would have... I don't know, like, part of me is, like, I'm not that different from high schoolers. But then I feel like seeing this is like, well, I guess I am.
Oh, yeah, and especially, like, none of the boys looked like adults.
Well, for boys, it's, like, more of a thing.
Right, and then some of the girls looked like they could be 18, 19, just because, like, that 16 to 20 range can be a little muddy for women. But some of them were definitely, like, underage, and I'm like, you look so different than, like, an adult woman.
Yeah. So, it was very crazy in that way for me, but it was fun. Well, it was, it was a high school production.
It certainly was a high school production. And you know what? I would say I'm happy we went, but I did miss the Patriots game.
But they lost anyway, so...
Maybe if I was watching, they'd have won.
Probably not. They've been struggling.
They certainly have.
I'm happy we went, even though part of it was very awkward for me, and I just was... It's weird to go back to your high school, and, like, when I was a freshman in college, and even I think in my sophomore year, there was actually a few times I did go back to my high school because I still knew students there, because, they were the grade below me or whatever. And, like, I'm not that far out. That was my whole life for 4 years very recently, like... Not things that haven't changed that much, like there's not TVs everywhere yet. And then I didn't feel that weird. I was like, oh yeah, just go in there, and it's like kind of sad or whatever. But now it's like, oh, I'm so far removed from this now, and it's, to me, like in my head, I was like, it hasn't been that long, but like I guess it's been 6 years, and like, oh, things change, and that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I haven't been inside my high school in years. Not that I like have any desire to, realistically. The last time I saw any of those people, it was actually kind of weird. There was like a 5-year reunion for high school, which seems like a low number. Like, why are you doing a reunion after only 5 years? Like,
Yeah.
10 I get, 5 seemed early. But we went, and that was cool. But I haven't been inside the building, and I feel like for people who didn't go to college, there's a lot of attachment to high school because that was your last school experience. However, for people like us who have been to college, and especially now you who are in medical school, and hopefully one day I'll go to grad school, so it'll be even further removed for the both of us, high school seems so far away, like it was so long ago, and that you were almost a different person when you're 17 versus 25, and like there's work and college between you, versus if you live in your hometown still and you like didn't really go anywhere. Like if you worked at UPS in high school part-time and now you're a full-time UPS employee and you still live in your hometown, it might not feel that weird. It feels pretty weird for me.
Yeah, and I think I just like didn't realize until like we were there. I was like, oh, this is so different. Because I don't know, like I had jobs like during the summers and stuff, but like I haven't really been like fully an adult yet in that way because I've just been in school. So like even though I'm in med school, it's like still school.
It's like you're postponing becoming an actual adult
by
staying in school.
So a lot of times, like I said, like I just don't feel like an adult yet, and like I mean, I don't know, like I pay rent and everything, but it's still like I'm in school, and maybe next year that will change because like I'll be on rotations and stuff, so I'll be kind of working. I mean, I'm learning still, but it's like on the job kind of learning in a hospital, so it's more like a job. But I don't know, even then it might not totally feel like it. I'm also like, I don't know, I'm still pretty young, 23. Like when I think, you know, when you talk about college. Oh, I'm not that far out of college. And I've mostly been thinking about college. So then to go back to, like, high school, then it's like, oh, but I kind of am pretty far removed from that. But because I would think about it a lot, because I think about theater a lot. And I really like theater, and I've been itching to get back into it, but I just don't have time with medical school. So I'm hoping, like, I don't know, once I get a job, maybe I will have time to. I don't know if I will, but, you know, maybe someday in the future I will be able to get into, like, local theater. But...
We'll see.
Since, like, most of the theater I did was in high school, I only did one play in college. Like, most of my theater stuff I think of as high school. And then I'm like, oh, like, I miss that so much. And, like, it's, like, far away, but then it doesn't until I was there today, you know? So.
Yep. Life is odd.
And we got dinner with my parents. Had some chicken pot pie.
It was good.
It was good.
Pretty good.
So, that's what we did today.
Yeah, normal stuff. I was out of work all last week because I was working, but I wasn't in the office. I was on a business trip to California, as I mentioned before.
So fancy.
Yes, and so now it's like back to normalcy next week, but then I have more travel coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. So it's like normalcy, but only very briefly.
Yeah, I want to fight his work. Sending him out too much.
But yes, my boss actually apologized to me. She said, hey, we've been sending you out a lot lately, but after you're done with this one, you should have a few weeks where you're home. So
I need like 2 months.
Well, it might be. I mean, it'll be Thanksgiving, which I'll be home for, and then it's basically Christmas. I think we have a few in-house things. Like I think we have either a client or a new colleague from like India who's going to spend 2 weeks like in office with us. So my boss wants more of us to be around, and then it's literally Christmas, and I have like the whole week off after that until New Year's. So I actually, I can't say for certain, but I think it will be definitely less after this next one.
Yeah.
At least until New Year's.
Well, I've not been a happy girlfriend when he has gone, as evidenced by not eating breakfast.
Yes.
And not really, I don't know, like, I don't feel like cooking when he's not here. Like, when he's here, it's like, oh, I have to cook for us. Because he needs to eat.
Part of being an adult is expectation, not of necessarily of yourself, but of the ones imposed on you by other people.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not here, you're not going to cook as much because you don't want to. But when I'm here, you know that I'm, like, expecting to be able to eat dinner.
Yeah.
so you have to cook.
And then it's, like, more expensive to, order out. So we can't order out all the time, and it's not as healthy. So I have to cook sometimes. Versus, like, when he is gone, it's easier to think to myself, well, if I order something tonight, like, I'll probably have leftovers. And it, like, if I think about how much we spend on groceries a week, I'm like, well, it kind of works out to be the same as how much I would pay for my half of groceries if I just, like, order out a few nights.
Yes, but now there's no food in the house.
Yeah.
So then I come home from California, and I'm like, man, I'm hungry. And then I open the fridge, and it's just empty. I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah.
Let's do, like, 2 or 3 Am I the Assholes. Maybe keep this one a little short. Maybe 4 if they're spicy.
Karma.
How do you even get karma?
I don't know. I think it's like liking things and
Oh,
commenting.
so you like things? Have you ever left a comment?
I don't know. I tried to. Okay, I'm on r/medical school. I follow that one because sometimes there's stuff, but mostly it just freaks me out because it's a lot of like 4th years that are like, oh my god, like I only have so many interviews with residencies. Like, am I gonna match? And then like a lot of it is like they're saying like they put like the Roman numeral like 2, and then they'll put like Roman numeral 4, and I'm like, what does that mean? What's a 2? What's a 4? I don't know. Like, I remember people talk about secondaries for, like, when we applied for med school, you get, like, a secondary application if a place likes you, that they're like, hey, fill out these more questions so we can get to know you better. So like I don't know if 2 is supposed to be secondary. Does residency have secondaries? But sometimes people say 2. Sometimes people say 4. Or maybe they're saying IV, like maybe that means like interview something. I don't know. I don't understand the logo, or not the logo, the lingo. Don't understand it. It freaks me out. So maybe I shouldn't be on it. But also it doesn't freak me out as much because I'm like, well, you know, it's a ways away. But anyways, I'm on that. One time someone asked a question. They were like, blah, blah, blah. It was like a thing that I could answer because it was just about like family saying that you shouldn't be in medical school or whatever. Which, like, yeah, gross. But I do remember, like, when I was applying to med school, like, that was a hard time for me, and I would cry a lot, and my parents were like, are you sure you want to do this? Because you seem, like, very stressed out and, like, upset a lot, which is, like, yeah. But, you know, I'm doing pretty heckin' great in med school right now, so, like, obviously I could handle it, and obviously, you know, I was able to do it. But, and, like, I don't know, I still cry sometimes, but that's just who I am. I'm just a crier sometimes. I get stressed, I cry, I have anxiety, but, you know, we get through it. We keep it chugging along, okay?
There are no brakes on this train.
Yeah, so, you know, so I was just going to comment that. I was going to be like, you know, hey, like, they were just doing it out of love, and maybe, like, your sister or whatever it was is like...
Well, I guess it was like, you don't have any karma, so you can't comment.
Yeah, it said you need, like, 10 comment karma to comment on that subreddit, and they were like, you have to get it somewhere else, obviously, because you can't comment on their subreddit unless you have that. So I'm like, well, you're the only subreddit I even look at.
I don't use Reddit at all. The only reason I even have the app is sometimes you Google something and the answer is a Reddit link, and trying to use that in the browser is terrible. So I have the app, so it'll open in the app and I'll look at things. But yes, it's also like crazy that on a lot of the more like opinionated subreddits and stuff like that, it's almost like if you get downvotes, you probably said the right thing. Like people really just don't like, or like somebody might say, you know, I don't know, I just kicked my 16-year-old out of the house for God knows what. And then somebody else would be like, that's very liberating. And somebody else would go, that's terrible, you're a bad parent. And that person will get all the downvotes. And you're like, what is going on?
Yeah. But to me, I mean, I just can't believe that there's any subreddit with the... Well, when then I'm like, okay, so if that's one on that one, are there other subreddits? I'm sure there are that are like that. But then, like, what's the point, you know? You're like a comment board, whatever you call the...
Message board.
Yeah, like a message board. Like, that's what this kind of site is. Like, if I can't comment on a post... What is the point?
I think maybe you get karma from leaving likes and stuff, so in theory it's supposed to be
but they
like, to prove you're not a bot.
They said on their thing that it's specifically comment karma that you have to have. So that means you have to comment on other... So I'm like, okay, well, what if all these subreddits I want to comment on have that rule? What is wrong with you? That's exactly that is... You know what that is like? That's like when you go to... You want to apply for a job and they say you need experience, but you have to get the experience on the job. It's like one of those things where it's like,
Like you need experience as a welder, and you're like, well, I'm trying to get some.
Yeah. I'm like, So, like, they're like, oh, you need to comment on subreddits to comment on ours. I'm like, well, I'd like to comment on yours, and that's how I would get it, but you just won't let me. And, like, what? I promise you, the r/med school Reddit is not that deep. Like, why are you like this? So, anyways, so now I'm kind of mad at them.
Anyway, 222, we're not Redditors here.
Sorry, yeah. If you're a Redditor,
do better.
The site moderation rules are stupid.
It's like maybe we open the website periodically, but as you can tell by the 3 karma, we don't use Reddit.
Okay, I think this one sounds really juicy, so I'm going to do it. It's, am I the asshole for ruining my cousin's honeymoon after not being invited to her wedding? I, 27 female, have a cousin, also 27 female, we'll call her Kathy, fake name, who got married last weekend. For some background, 2 years ago I inherited a cabin in the mountains from my maternal grandmother after she died. This is not the grandmother Kathy and I share. It's a peak mountain town with lots of activities around. For the first year, I lived in it, fixing it up to eventually rent as an Airbnb. During that time, Kathy would visit periodically and stay with me. Once I moved out and placed it on Airbnb, she would continue to ask for a week or so to stay in the cabin when it wasn't peak season. She loved it so much. She asked if she could use it as her honeymoon location. I told her yes and blocked out the dates on Airbnb for her honeymoon, which would have been this week. I told her congratulations and that I had stockpiled the Airbnb with a bunch of romantic stuff, candles, rose petals, etc. as her wedding gift. She was so excited. That was back in May. However, 3 months ago, I got a call from my aunt. Apparently, my whole family and I weren't invited to the wedding. We were shocked as we had assumed we'd be coming. My aunt told us that my cousin said she doesn't know us well and that we weren't there for her childhood. We do live in different states. We didn't hear from my aunt or cousin again. Instead, for the weekend of Halloween, my family and I changed our plane tickets, they weren't refundable, and skipped a major snowstorm in our hometown to live it up in Florida for the week. This is where I may have been an asshole. For a while, I considered just leaving everything alone. But as of November 1st, ski season starts, and it would be a big week. Honestly, I needed the money. So a week after I was told I wasn't invited, I decided to text Kathy that I was going to remove her reservation from my Airbnb unless she wanted to pay for the dates. I never got a response. No, she didn't block me. I can see the text went through. I texted her one more time about 2 months ago before putting my Airbnb back online for that week. No response. It booked up within 24 hours. The day after her wedding, she texted me and asked me when she could expect the cabin to be ready. I texted her back that I told her months prior that I was going to rent it out to someone else unless she paid. It's already booked and unavailable. To say she was mad is an understatement. She cried and called me an asshole. This was supposed to be my wedding gift to her, she yelled. I told her that only invited guests are supposed to give gifts and that strangers always have to pay to use my Airbnb. Now she's calling out my family as assholes for being butthurt about not having an invite. She's using her excuse that we weren't there during her childhood and that she deserves to use the cabin. My immediate family thinks I did nothing wrong, but the rest of my family said I should give in. I agree it was a petty move, but am I the asshole?
No.
No.
I do think it was petty and possibly unnecessary to do that. However, you're right. You would expect, hey, can I use your expensive Airbnb for my honeymoon? Sure, cousin. See you at the wedding, you know, right?
Yeah.
Like you would assume that you're
get an
getting a
invite.
wedding invite. So then to be told that you're not close enough to receive a wedding invite, but you are close enough for me to use your cottage for free for a week, like. And she did warn her also.
Yeah, like if you just canceled it because you were mad, like that would be one thing. But if you gave her 2 warnings, then it's like, why didn't she reply and be like, oh no, can I please like keep it? Or like to me, that is totally on her. Like, you didn't even reply to her messages saying that.
Literally months in advance.
Now, on the other hand, have you considered not being Airbnb owner? But
Also true. We spit on those
do
as well.
spit on Airbnb owners.
You're why the rent is so expensive.
Yeah, 1, you're why the rent is so expensive. 2, I'm sure you I need the money. It's like, do you have a job? Like, probably you don't. So, but also, you know, the other circumstances, no, you're not the asshole.
Yeah, I
Despite
think definitely,
my reservations about people being Airbnb owners.
definitely petty, and I don't like Airbnbs. However, no, you're not the asshole. Don't scroll down. All you're gonna do is look at weird comments.
I was just checking. No, it seems like other people are saying NTA, you know? So I think it's good.
We just sat here and bemoaned Redditors. We don't have to look at the Redditor opinions.
Okay, well, how about you pick the next one?
Oh, here, let's do that one.
Oh, you think it's juicy?
Yeah, whatever. Am I the asshole for letting my 16-year-old daughter drink a glass of wine? Last night, I, female 46, had a glass of wine while watching a movie with my daughter, 16, and she asked me if she could try some. Normally, I'm strict with my children when it comes to alcoholic beverages, but I didn't think a little wine would hurt, so I poured her a glass. I told her that this would be a once-in-a-blue-moon exception. My husband, male 48, on the other hand, was not okay with this. When he came into the living room and saw her with the wine in her hand, he lost his mind. He started shouting at me, asking why the hell I let her drink alcohol underage, and said she could easily become addicted to it. I immediately felt bad and apologized, but my husband is still pissed with me over this. I don't think he trusts me anymore. Am I the asshole? No. In theory, yes, she's underage. Don't let her drink. But a glass of wine with your mom in your living room one time, it's not the end of the world.
It's also one of those things where it's like really funny from like if you think about like other cultures where like in Europe like that's just like normal for them. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, if she was like a 10-year-old or like I don't know like 12 or something, like that'd be like more like okay maybe not. But she's 16, like you can get a car, like you can get your license at 16. I feel like you can have a sip or like a glass of wine once in a blue moon with your mom, like.
And also, yeah, you're right. And a couple things. One, even if the husband wasn't happy with it, because he's welcome to be unhappy with it, it is technically illegal. So, you know, not being happy about it, I get that, you know, but kicking and screaming and possibly making a scene like that, no bueno, you know, like suck it up, discuss it later. All right. And also, I don't like the the way that America handles like the age to be an adult anyway. If it's 16 to drive, 18 to vote, and then some states you can get a gun at 18, but other ones you can't. You have to be 21. And then you can't drink or smoke cigarettes until you're 21, but you can enlist in the military and die and also have a gun at 18. But then you can't rent a car until 25 because your brain's not fully developed and they don't trust you.
Yeah.
So, like, when am I an adult? Oh, don't forget you're paying taxes the entire time, which, if you can't vote until you're 18, technically that's taxation without representation because...
So true.
So point is, all those adult laws are fairly arbitrary anyway. So something like a glass of wine at 16 does not really bother me from like a morals perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an issue. It's like one glass. You said it would be a once in a blue moon thing. And it's so weird for him to say she's going to get addicted. Like, that's not how that really works. Like, I think you would have to, at least for alcohol, like, I don't think alcohol is so addictive that one glass would...
It's not like a meth or something where you do it one time and you're like, I gotta get more.
Yeah. Like, I think having one glass for, like, and she probably won't have another for months, maybe years, I don't know, like...
Not to mention the fact that she's a 16-year-old in high school, is possibly going to parties and possibly drinking anyway.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, I never did that.
The point there is that it's either... This is the only wine she's going to have, like, ever until she's of age. Or she's already doing it without being of age. Either way, the one glass is the big deal.
Yeah. But if it's not satisfying, I say
if it's not a fun one, we can do another.
Yeah. Am I the asshole for refusing to go with husband when I wasn't invited? I, 29, got a text from sister-in-law asking if she and my husband's brother could steal my husband, 34, for a day. I said it was fine, but wondered what they were going to do. She responds saying that they're going to an amusement park and she's taking her sister and doesn't want her husband to feel left out, so they want to take mine. I felt hurt they invited him, but didn't even bother asking if I wanted to come along, even if it did make it uneven again. I didn't respond with any of that, but said that it was fine. A few days pass, and my husband comes to me asking about if I knew about them wanting him to go with them, and if I said I didn't want to go. I told him no, that wasn't it. I wasn't invited. They only wanted you to go. I told him what was said in this text, and I understand they wanted him to go to keep his brother company since her sister was going too. He said they had passes where you could bring a friend each, so if I did go, we would have to pay for me. However, they didn't invite me, so I told him I wasn't going to go if I wasn't wanted. It's rude to invite one and not the other, in my opinion, when it involves married couples. My husband says they probably didn't mean it in that way and that I'm being petty. That if I want to go, then I should just come with them. I asked my best friend and another if they would have been upset, and they both said they would be totally pissed, but is my husband right? Am I being petty? Am I the a-hole?
I answered the last two first. Why are you outsourcing your opinion?
Oh, sorry. No, I always get curious to see what they say. I don't know. Like, I feel like no, but I feel like you're going to say yes.
Maybe asshole is a strong word. I think she's definitely being petty.
I just, like, I don't know. I kind of see it. That's a weird way to word it if you're expecting both of them to come.
Well, you're right. I don't think they were asking for her to come with, because I get, hey, there's two girls, we have one boy. Can we bring your husband, because then it'll be two girls, two boys, and it won't be as weird.
Yeah.
Right? So, I get that. And I get her saying, well, they asked for you to come, not me. I didn't want to make it uneven. But to, get irritated and stuff about it.
I would get irritated. It's like you don't have a friend that's not in a married relationship. I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, it's kind of fine, but also, why are you messaging me if you want him?
That's true.
So now it's not only is it you're not inviting me, but you didn't even go directly to him. So now I know that you're not inviting me. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if they had messaged him and be like, hey, you want to come with us? And then he could be tell her if she, but no, it's so weird to go directly to her.
However, I must also say that she's overreacting, because if you're literally married, most people are not going to kick and scream if you bring your husband with you or whatever. Right? If somebody said, hey, we're going to get some drinks, you want to come? And I was like, sure, I'll be there. And then I showed up with my wife. Unless it was specifically guys' night or something, no girls allowed, then I brought my wife, that would be bad. But, this is your spouse. You guys do it, you do everything together.
But they did ask for just him, so.
But they asked her for him.
No, but that's like so weird. So I get why she would be upset by it. Like, I don't know, like maybe she is being a little bit like much about it, but I don't know. I don't think she's the asshole.
Asshole is definitely a strong word. I think she's being a little weird about it, but I don't think she's an asshole.
But I kind of get it. I would be too, because I'm like, oh, they don't want me there, and then I feel and then I would have all sorts of feelings about it. But like to me, it just doesn't make sense. And it's her sister-in-law, so she definitely should have his number. So like, why?
Because it sounds like she asked him to come, and he said, "Yeah, I'll come." And then she said, "Oh, you know what? Let me check with his wife to make sure it's cool," because he knew that they wanted him to come and not her, and didn't invite her or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And it's his sister-in-law, which means it's the husband's sister.
Right.
Right? So it'd be like if Lindsay, my sister, wanted me to come to the amusement park because they needed an extra guy. And then text you was like, hey, I asked my brother to come. You're cool with that, right?
Okay, I guess. But it's still weird to me. I don't know.
Like, to be weird about it, because, like, if it was, like, if one of your friends asked for me to go, that would be really weird. But it's his sister, like, it can't be that weird. It's his sister.
It's just weird to me that she bothered to ask her if it was going to be like, she's not invited anyway.
She was just checking in, making sure she wasn't messing up your day by inviting him.
I don't know. If you're not going to invite me, don't bother to check in on me. Because I'm already mad. That's just how I am. I don't know.
Well, you heard it here first, I guess. Okay, last one.
Pick one.
Am I the asshole for telling my dad that he shouldn't have asked me a question if he wasn't prepared for the honest answer? I, 25 female, am not that close to my dad anymore. I was until I was about 13, but that changed. He either only realized it now or only started to care now that I am living a more independent life and that he's not as involved as he wants to be. I was 8 when I lost my mom and we were as close as ever, but I needed him more. That's when I was 11, he remarried and he became a stepdad to a girl who was 10 at the time. Now, this is where full honesty comes in. I was jealous as hell that my dad was trying to bond with her and that he called her his daughter and us his girls right away. It made me feel less special. It made me feel like I didn't matter as much because how could someone so new to him be equal to me after hardly any time? Every time he spent time with her, I felt sick. He still spent time with me, but after about 6 or 7 months of marriage, he started to spend more time with his stepdaughter. I hated it. I was both devastated and furious that she was getting my dad. I was 13. My dad said how much he preferred hanging out with her over me because they had similar interests. He said he couldn't spend enough time with his stepdaughter and he was hoping I would hit the teen phase of not wanting my parents around me that much. He didn't say it to me, but I heard him say it. His best friend is one of the people he did say to, and he was like, hey dude, don't say that out loud. My dad said most parents probably feel that way. He said it wasn't like he would ever tell me that to my face. Then he admitted he also resented me for not wanting his wife the way her daughter wanted him. He wanted us to be the perfect little family, and we looked like a step family where the step is always used because I didn't really want his wife for stuff. I gave him his wish, and over the years, he increased the amount of time he spent with his stepdaughter. They could do stuff together up to 4 times a week. That was until she was 16 and wanted space. He was devastated by that, and that crushed me. So I decided that was all I needed to know, and I didn't try to get closer to him. He approached me with the question of why after I moved in with my boyfriend, and his dad helped us move stuff. My dad said he expected to be called, and then he asked me why I had pulled away from him. So I told him everything from the jealousy to what I heard him say, and I told him I decided that I wasn't going to keep close like I had when he felt that way. Dad was offended that I had ever been jealous. He told me it was disgusting to want to deny his stepdaughter the chance at a father. He also told me he should be allowed to have interests in common with someone other than me. I told him he was, but I was also a kid who had lost my mom and clung to my sole living parent. He then accused me of manipulating him by saying all of that, and I told him that he shouldn't have asked the question if he wasn't prepared for an honest answer. He told me I can F right off with that attitude and told me to grow up. Am I the asshole? Absolutely not.
Oh my god, your dad is, though.
I was a little worried at first when she was like, I was so jealous of the other girl. I was like, a little I understand because you're like 13 and
your mom just died. And
right.
Now it's your dad.
Right. But like, I was worried that she was going to like hold it against this girl and her dad or something. And then her dad was like, man, I sure hope my real daughter becomes a teenager and tells me to stop hanging out with her so I can spend time with the other daughter who I have more in common with. And his friend goes, hey man, you shouldn't say that out loud.
She's going to her face. Well, she heard, so.
Yeah, well.
God.
Not good.
your dad is not a good person.
Yeah.
It sounds like. Well, especially because, of course, he's getting all defensive and stuff, and he's calling her manipulative, and, like, it kind of sounds like you are. Like, or not manipulative, but you're just, like, so, like, not a nice person.
At least to your daughter.
Like, yeah, like, oh my god.
Like, I totally get wanting to bond with your new daughter, right? She is a stepdaughter, it's true, but she's your daughter now. You married her mother, and she's 10, she's young, so you want to get to know her and stuff like that, and be impressionable because she obviously doesn't have a dad, right? Or at least not one that's in her picture the same way that you are. So I get wanting to be a father to this other child that is now in your life. And I understand the jealousy from the existing child from that. What I simply cannot understand is being like, man, I sure hope she screws off so I can spend more time with the other girl.
That is just horrific to say. Just like, especially like that's like your action. Like I know, like okay, that's pretty early on. It sounds like.
Well, a lot of that stuff they have to grow into it, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like he was just like right away, like yeah, I like this girl more than like.
He was like, my real daughter is super boring.
Yeah,
this other girl likes to color. Like,
yeah. I'm like, and then just to be so unaware of that, like it seems like she's distanced herself for a while, and also. Like, I don't know, you just have to know, like, if you're being like that, it will come off to your kid. Like, they're not stupid. I'm sure it was pretty obvious to her, like, when you were hanging out with her, the other daughter more, like, kids notice that stuff, so, like, you shouldn't be surprised that she kind of realized that you like the stepdaughter more, and then, like, obviously he doesn't know she heard him say that, but still, she did. And I don't know, like, what? Oh, it makes me mad.
Right, and there's like obviously an element of, you know, I didn't know that I made you feel that way, and I'm sorry. But also, he didn't say that. He's not sorry. He's mad at her. And two, like there are times where 15-year-old daughter hears dad say something she doesn't like, and she like misremembers it for the next 10 years and holds it against him.
Yeah.
But you can't give him that benefit of the doubt because his friend was literally like, "Hey, man." Like, whoa.
Yeah, so obviously he did say that. And like for him to say she's manipulating him, oh my god. And two, that like, oh, you can F right off with that attitude and like telling her to grow up. Like, dude, maybe you need to grow up. Yeah. Like, what?
Not good. Definitely not good.
I'm sure all the comments are like, yeah. Yeah, no, he just doubled down. That's the worst thing you can do in a situation. It's kind of like how sometimes like YouTuber apologies like will just don't like the Colleen thing, like just doubling down on stuff. It's like, no, don't ever do that. Like especially in this case. But you know that's to me like how you know a person is a bad person, or at least in some regards, because you gotta be willing to admit when you're wrong or admit when you've done effed up stuff. So if you double down or if you start attacking the other person even though they have a right to be upset, then like just know like you have made a bad decision and you are not being a good person in that moment. Maybe work on some stuff. But
with that, I think that's enough.
Yeah, those are some really good Am I the Assholes. Hope you enjoyed. If you've got anything you want us to do, if you want to be on the podcast, you know, let us know. Any ideas, any questions, advice, you know, we're here.
And most importantly, send us your breakfast.
Like, comment, subscribe. You know how it goes. And, hopefully, we might not see you next week because I have a test the Monday after, so.
We'll see you again soon.
We'll see, but yeah. Bye.